Hey everybody, welcome back. Zoukei-Mura's beautiful 32nd scale BF109. Today's part number 6, and we're going to throw down some decals and do the weathering. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, welcome back to the dojo, and we're going with this, and we're going to do the decals and the weathering. So, decals, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. I've done it so many videos over the years. Just in case you use the channel, I'll do one and then do the rest off camera. I'm not going to bore you with decaling whole aircraft by any means. Couple of things, updates since last week. As I mentioned at the end of the video, I gave everything a clear coat, LP9. Clear gloss, I put it down before my decals. Just makes the decals go down better, and also I need this anyway for my my panel line wash. A lot of people don't bother with clear coat. Sometimes I don't. I guess you do you, boo. Do what you think. For me, I do this every model pretty much, and it works great. Lacquer paints are very smooth, so it's not necessarily, you know, necessary, I guess. But I just feel it protects the paintwork. You know, if you don't, if it gets chipping and stuff, and it just, I don't know, just the way I always do it. So LP9 clear coat. Also, going through the instructions here. Well, just before I started to turn the camera on, I was looking at the decals. And I was looking at the crosses. And I see they had two for the wings, but then the ones for the side have no black in the middle. I was like, huh. So I looked at the instructions, and, you know, it's definitely dark. But then it's got arrow point number 3, so it says RLM 74, paint in the middle. So obviously this side, we've cut it out, so I'm not putting a decal on. On this side, what I've done is, you can see, it's nice because, you know, these panel lines, it just goes right between these two panel lines, so it's kind of easy to spot where it kind of goes, the decal. So I just sprayed a blob in there to put the decal over it, so you'll see the cross behind it. Not sure it's, again, totally accurate, but I think it should work. So that's a couple of things I've done since last week. So the decal I'm going to do today in the camera, if I use these foam blocks so we don't kind of break anything, is going to go right here on this wing. And it's a bit across. And so just look at my instructions here, make sure I get lined up. So basically it's going to go against this panel line, and it's going to sit right here. Yeah, so I'm just checking here. It's going to be flush with the power line, sit there. So, got some hot water here in a little ramekin, and this is where cooking style goes on. About, what we got, about maybe 2 centimeters worth deeper water. Put in the microwave, 15 seconds, and good to go. Again, this is one of those things where people swear they use cold water or hot water. I just find hot water just makes them work a lot quicker. I mean, it's personal preference, right? So I do have a warmer too off camera here. You get one of these cheap Amazon coffee cup warmers, and what I do is I'll turn it on, and that's why I use a ramekin, because this can just sit on there all day, you know, and keeps the water warm. So let me just start by just with my tweezers, my Tamiya decal tweezers. Decal, I don't want to call them decal tweezers. Dip it in for a few seconds, take it out, and leave it on my mat. Put it there so you can see it. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my brush, just dip a little bit of water at my brush, and just basically just run it where I want decal to go, so it's against this panel line. Just give me a little bit of wiggle room. So if I don't put any water down, some of this might stick. So if I put water down, it's going to help me, give me a little bit, you know, a few seconds or a couple of minutes worth extra moving around before it'll bed into the plastic. Used to use this guy. It's this one that smells like vinegar. Let me smell it. Yeah, whew. It smells like vinegar, white vinegar, and you know, I've used it for years, and it makes no difference at all compared to water. So I'm like, well, what's the point of using it? So I don't use it anymore. What I will use is, I've almost finished this bottle, it's Microsol. I've been using this for years. I do have picked up some of the old UMP decal solution to try out too. I got strong and extra strong, but you know, I might as well finish this bottle here first. So I got the Microsol. So by now, this should have come away from the paper. So let me see. And it has. So decals vary widely. So these are really nice ones. These Zoukei-Mura ones, look like. Well, I've never put one. Well, I'm saying that I haven't used them yet, but they look really nice. Some of the hobby boss stuff, trumpeter, it's a mixed bag. Some's okay. Some take a while. Like some kits I've built, like the KC-135. I remember the decals had to leave for like 5 to 10 minutes for them to come loose. So you just never know. So you don't want to force it. I mean, it's not sliding freely. Just let be patient. Otherwise, you're going to rip the decal. But say it might take 5-10 minutes. It might take a few seconds. It just varies. So you can see now, see how easy it just moves around. So we're ready to go. So I'm just basically, this is pretty easy just to follow a pound line here. So I'm just looking at my instructions, and I'm just going to lay it down loosely where it's going to go. And then with my fingers and my tweezers here, kind of work quickly to kind of get it in this right kind of ballpark. Okay, and there we go. And I sometimes get a habit too where you're constantly moving, tweaking it for like 5 minutes, trying to get in spot. If you think you're in the right area, just let it go, I think. So look at my instructions again. Just comparing, make sure I've got the right panel line. I don't have the right panel line, so I'm glad I checked. It scoots it over. So again, adding that water just gives you a couple of seconds extra kind of wiggle room on this. And it's... yeah, okay, we're good to go there. So what I'm going to do now is, sometimes you can leave it. I'm going to take a Q-tip or cotton bud and wipe away the water. So what I do now is I like to put my finger on the decal so it doesn't move, and then just kind of burnish it down a little bit. There you go, move it back into the spot, move slightly. So I'm getting rid of all the excess water. This has gone down, bedded really nicely. I can see it's a flat surface, so there's not tons of issues there. And I'll make sure my instructions, again, triple checking, make sure it's against that panel line, and we're good. So that is easy as that. That's it. Now I'm going to leave it for about 5 minutes, just so it doesn't so it sticks, because I don't want to start moving around again. And then what I'll do is I'll come back to Microsol and just a thin coat over top of it, and then just leave it. Now, another point with decals too is I like to do the bigger markings first and then work to my smaller ones, and always try to stick in an area at once. Don't fall in the trap like I did recently where you go around all different parts of the aircraft, because otherwise you can't handle it. And when you're trying to move it around, you put your finger in a decal, you're ripping it off, you're pulling it out of position. So just try to focus on one little area at a time, do all the decals and work your way around. Generally, like I mentioned, I like to do the big squadron markings and the big insignia first, and then I'll come back and do a little tiny guys. But yeah, so that's it. So let this sit for about 5 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll do the Microsol. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes or so. Just managed to do a few household errands and fold a little bit of laundry. Now I'm back. So I'm just going to dip my brush into the old Microsol and simply just brush it over. And the fact I left it 5 minutes, it's not going to move around. If I did it right away, this thing might be sliding all over the place. That's why I like just to leave it. And the purpose of this is, oh, there we go, it did slip. So, curse myself there. Now it's getting a little trickier to move, but okay. Maybe I didn't leave it quite long enough, so maybe 10 minutes might be better on these decals. But just going to douse it with this micro sol, and the purpose of this is it's just going to basically get the decal and suck it into the plastic, like bring it, like embed it in. So all these rivets, hopefully, and all these lines are going to show through, so it's going to look painted. So that's a game plan. So again, just any excess on the paintwork, just like to brush up a little bit, because it can stain your paintwork. Again, another pro for using a clear coat over the top. And there we go. Simple that. Just brush it over, and I'm just going to leave it. Now, I don't, in real life, do one at a time. I'm probably going to do 3 or 4, right? And then come back and just hit the Microsol all of them at once. But for the interest of the video, that's that one done. Now, top tip 2, always put my lid right back on these, because I think they're made deliberately, but they're just so easy to fall down. I spilt so many of these in my time. Put the lid back on when I'm done, and not going to waste any. So that is essentially it. That's a decal. I'm going to work around the whole aircraft and put all the rest on. There's not tons. It's not like a Phantom. I think what we got probably I don't know, maybe like 50 or so. So a couple hours work, like to put a podcast on or a YouTube video, sit back and relax, or some music, and work my way through and systematically part of the time, as I mentioned, to get those decals on. So let me do that, and we'll come back and we'll see how she looks. All right, so all the decals are on. Not too much to see on this side, but more on this side. No problem at all. A couple of smaller ones didn't really stick for some reason. So I came back and yeah, I touched it a little bit and they just fell off. They didn't stick grip at all. But anyway, so gave it all a clear coat LP9 over the top of it. So just the parts I put the decals on just to seal them in. And now we can move on to some weathering. So I'm just going to weather firstly with a wash and obviously just the panels here, not the internal structure. So it's really just this side and then the underside. And let's do the underside because it's going to be easier to see. So as always, I'm going to use here the Flory Models Dark Dirt Wash. It works really well. This is the dregs from the bottom of the bottle. This bottle's done. These aren't cheap anymore, so and it's hard to get. So yeah, heads up on that one. So basically what it is a clay wash, and you're just going to rub it all on, leave it for 20-30 minutes, come back and just wipe it off, and it will leave nice panel lines. The reason why I do gloss is with this guy, it's going to rub right off. If I do like a matte coat, it's going to be hard to get off with the texture. So I'm just going to take a regular paintbrush and just literally paint it all over the gray area. But be a little careful here because I don't want to break any pieces off. This is why I haven't put the gear on either, because it's, it could be a little bit rough. So just smearing it all on, covering everywhere, and that essentially is it. I'm just going to let this guy sit, as I mentioned, for 20 or 30 minutes, and we'll come back and just with a paper towel, we'll just wipe it off. And once that's done, we can move on to the other sides, the upper side of the aircraft as well. All right, so let it dry for a while. It's actually been a couple of hours, been pretty busy. Did take off some of this stuff first, and just the reason why I like to do all the flaps and stuff separately normally, you can see that just one broke off already. It's very delicate, so it took a lot of care, but you can see hopefully how the old rivet detail on the surface details picked up on that just from the panline wash, and we've taken it away, not completely away, we left some on there, some grime, but basically paper towel broken up in a small piece, lick it with a little moisture, and just rub it over. Again, gently over some of these parts. This is very fragile, and all down here you see we've done as well. So on this wing, moisture, give it a lick. Just like that. You can see all that beautiful detail, which on the other side, you can't really see it. But once you have that wash, that's what it does. So this is the first stage of weathering and comes to the oils and stuff as well. So this is going to be it. But look, I just noticed here, look, see how the decals are peeling up? That's not good at all. Huh. Okay. So just be careful these decals. I did put some sole down, bed it down, but it seems like the adhesive isn't quite great on these. Like I mentioned before, a couple of us peeled off some of the smaller ones. So a little bit of an issue there. I think not such a big thing. I think I'm just going to, I'll fix this, no problem at all. Add a little bit more settling solution and just leave it. I won't touch that area again. But just working my way through the aircraft, I'm just going to do this area here, then flip it over and do the upper side too. So let me go ahead and work on that off camera. I don't want to bore you guys watching me stand or wipe off, wash for hours on end. So I'm going to do that, and we'll come right back. All right, so we're on the wheels, as you can see, and yeah, got the wash on, got the wash off, and gave it all a quick clear coat of XF86. Old school, but works great, flat clear, just to flat it all back, and that'll be our last clear coat of the build. Now, quick thing to note too is, some of you may notice there's no swastika on the tail. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but social media, they take down your posts or take down your videos if you have any kind of like swastika or Confederate flags or that kind of stuff. So I'm going to build this up without that. And then once all my pictures and videos are done for the channel, I can add that add those decals on later on when it's in my private collection. But yeah, we're on the wheels. So give it a clear coat, flat it back, and as you can see, we're looking really good, I think. Some of you guys might be thinking, like when I put the post shading on, how contrasty it was and how terrible, it might feel a bit like pantomime makeup. But just going through here and adding different layers of, different complexities of different colors, like different clear coats and, different weathering products, it just adds some richness to the whole experience and whole model here. So that's kind of how we're looking. The gear I glued on, I glued it on, to be honest with you, a little bit lazy. I glued it on so I could just clear coat all at once rather than separately. It's not the most stable of things, but I don't think it's necessarily the kit. It might be more me because I'm missing a ton of stuff back down there. I cut, we're missing panels, that kind of stuff to expose all the engine. So it's a little bit fragile, but it's not like we're going to roll this thing around the floor. It's going to be in a display case, so it's going to be fine. And I think we'll be okay with the weathering because I'm not going to be too aggressive here with the next stage of weathering. So, the oils. So let me add some foam blocks to take the weight off the wheels here. There we go. Now, I don't want to go too bananas here. I just want to add a little bit of extra detail, extra dimension with some oils. And you guys know I've probably used before Abteilung Starship Filth. Just a grimy color. I really like this color. I used to use a lot of smoke and darker colors, but just finding Abteilung, the Starship Filth, is a really good color. So what I've done is I've added a little bit here into my tray, my plastic container. This is the exact same as I used for the wash a few days ago. So Starship Filth, what we'll do is we use the neat oils and then leftovers we'll add some more thinner and make a wash. So hey, no waste. Enamel thinner, I like the X20, the blue top, enamel, Tamiya. I mean, this lasts a lifetime. And this is kind of something I've done recently. I found it really hard to blend the stuff past year or so. And what I found is if you just add one tiny drop of thinner to the paint, it just makes it flow a lot better. So paint, little drop, one drop for pipette. That's all you need just to soften it up and make it blend a lot easier. And I'm just literally going to take a tiny bit of oil, rub some excess off on my brush. And my latest way of doing it is just dots. So I'm going to follow pound lines basically. So I'm just going to go just dabbing it very gently. Okay, we'll do those 3 pound lines with that brush. I'm going to bring back a stiffer brush. Well, we used, this is from Michaels. This is like $2 or something. And then carefully holding it so I don't rip the landing gear off. I'm just going to basically just blend it. Actually, let me pick it up. It's very fragile, this aircraft. And with these oils, less is more, right? You don't put tons of stuff on. If you do overdo it, just a little bit, a Q-tip with a little bit of enamel thinner, it rubs right off. And you can see just those 3 pound lines, the effect we got. Easy as that. So yeah, if you see my techniques evolved over the years. If you watched my videos a couple of years ago, now it's just add that drop. My key now is a drop of this enamel thinner, 1 drop, not crazy, just to soften it. And then a few dots, not line. I used to do lines before, I had way too much. There's dots, I mean, you basically just fill it all in, make a line by rubbing it. Like that. So I'm just going to do the same thing around the whole aircraft. And once I'm done, that's going to be the weathering finished on the whole thing. Well, this part of it anyway. So let me go get to work and we'll be right back. Right, so I just went and had some lunch, came back a couple hours later and it's pretty much dry. So we're kind of done with the weathering phase, what I want to do for now. And this is how she is looking. So you see how I like to go lighter now? Because when you have all these washes, this makes everything a little bit darker and grimier. So it contrasts it. So that's the side. It's all kind of buttoned up. It's really tricky to hold. But good news with this is I measured one of my trumpeter cases behind me. You usually see, and it actually will fit perfectly inside one of those, so we'll be able to put in the case. So we've covered a lot today. Did all decals, all the weathering, and yeah, we're almost there. So I'm gonna wrap the video up, and we'll come back next week for the final part where we'll do all the finishing touches. We got to have the prop, we got the canopy. What else? We got the machine guns to go on. All the little parts to kind of wrap this thing up, and drop tank as well. And yeah, we'll be finished. So thank you for watching as always. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time round.